Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Advanced Warfighter. No, it's not, and I keep fucking saying that. Why do I keep saying that? I've not played Advanced Warfighter for like 10 years. Why, brain? Gosh. This is Call of Duty. Although it might be very similar to Ghost Recon, it is infinitely different. This is Advanced Warfare, and this is a walkthrough on Veteran. This is Mission 5, it's called Aftermath. And I'm probably going to call it Advanced Warfighter again, even though, wasn't Advanced Warfighter also that Medal of Honor game? So it's just getting really fucking confusing now, so I apologise, my brain is stupid, and thus I am stupid, and I should feel bad. But this is Aftermath. This is a pretty simple level. You'll notice I've trimmed out a lot of the bullshit. There is so much waiting about and pacing and expositional moments on this level. It's great the first time through, and then every level afterwards all you're going to be really doing is trying to break the scripting, like this part here, where this is a mandatory grab. I tried my best to punch him before he grabbed me, to have like a punch going into the animation. It was quickly swallowed by this preset nature, and then from this point onwards it's going to be us navigating this area. I think they missed an opportunity here. I think they could have really had a situation where you could have done some maybe trial and error, really visceral combat hand-to-hand section where you don't have guns and they do, and you have to really play it smart. But because this is Call of Duty and they're aiming it towards children who are being brought up on, you know, intravenous strips of sugar and Call of Duty multiplayer they shouldn't really be playing because they're not old enough to even own the fucking game. Every single part of this game, when it's not having those surprisingly slow moments, is just holding its breath until it can explode again. And this is a really good spot, this. I am using the glass to wallbang the enemies with the target finder, and the target finder is going to paint them. I'm just going to pepper them down. And you'll notice, I checked my back here. I have a really hilarious video coming up. See, just then me getting shot. There is somebody behind me, and I don't know if he spawned in after I made a push. I'm not entirely sure where this guy comes from. What I do know is the spawns on this game are awful. In the multiplayer they're bad, in the single player they're bad as well, because enemies will often spawn behind you, spawn on you. You can in fact see them spawn. Oh, there he is. So we know for a fact that when we dropped down that ladder and we came towards this cabin that I'm in, there was no enemies on that side of the street. All the enemies are directly in front of us here in that building. So either he ran all the way around and, you know, stealthily came from behind and flanked me, or he spawned somewhere there. And it's really dangerous. I have a funny video of me first meeting that soldier, which I'm going to upload, where I do pretty much what you just saw, and then I get murdered from behind, and it's just that moment of, how does that even work? Like, the one thing you can know for sure in Call of Duty is the enemies generally spawn in front of you. That's how they work. You push forward, something happens, and you've got more dudes to shoot. On some of the levels that open up a little bit, and I say that because it's more of an illusion than actual sandbox nature, the enemies then, you can understand them being all around you because you're moving through a non-linear path, and it's just, that comes with the territory, and I don't think they handled it as good as they could have done on this game. I think it needs a little bit more grace, but they did a decent job, which is all you can really ask on something that they've not really done too much. Every other sequence, you are moving forward on a roller coaster of whack-a-mole. So how the fuck can the moles get behind you? It seems really bizarre when it happens, but it does, and the majority of deaths on this campaign on Veteran are going to come from enemies being literally to your left, to your right, or behind. You will not die from in front unless you're playing too aggressively. These games are all about patience, and they're all about, you know, sticking your jaw over little ledges and shooting people and being a small target. And I'm going to show you a couple of strategies in this next room which I wish you could utilise a little bit more often. And it is going to be me using the adrenaline mode to skip an entire spawn of enemies, because you have a massive advantage when the game slows down. It's kind of awesome, actually. It's a big homage to games like Fear that pretty much utilise this first in first-person shooters, and I loved it there. There is something empowering about slow motion in every game, and it can let you do some really badass moments like this, where I know there's another spawn coming, so I chuck 2 grenades, and I quickly boost to the cover, and the grenades do my dirty work. I come back around the corner, everybody's dead. And what this has effectively done is, there was probably 3 or 4 more guys that were set to come on this section, but because I pushed into the area, I negated that continuous spawn, and there are a lot of sequences in this game where you can do that. And it's really effective, and that is the closest this comes to the older Call of Duties. Because the old ones, which I keep mentioning, which were very difficult, it became less about shooting people and more about getting to checkpoints. It was literally, if I can cross these 7 meters of open insanity and get behind that wall, get on my belly as quick as I can and not die, then I win. And that was the game. It was a constant struggle for progress. It was kind of like NFL, which I know is a gross generalisation. And I don't really know too much about NFL, but I do realise that the game stops every 30 seconds so that they can keep pushing each other back and fucking forth and throwing that hand egg and all that fun stuff. And it's just that war of attrition for progress, you know, World War I style, trenches and all that good stuff. This is another interesting section as well, and this is a moment I really don't enjoy. For some reason, this game has you doing this push mechanic. It does it quite a lot, and every time you do it, you can be killed. And I'm not asking for invulnerability while we do this, I'm just asking if you're going to push a van from behind a van, stay behind the fucking van. Like, how hard is that? I could do this better than this bloody classically trained militant man. And I know he's got, you know, he's disabled, but he's as functional as a man can be with a disability, for Christ's sake. And even then, how does him having only one arm, or one hand, one real hand anyway, affect his ability to push a van? It's retarded. There is no reason for him to stick his head out here other than to kill himself. And it's that moment where you think... There was a moment on Black Ops where you were with Resnick in the prison break and you were pushing a minecart to stay covered. And even then you pushed it better than this tosser. And don't get me wrong, you had to stop pushing and shoot people or they'd just kill you because you died fast on that game. It's not like this one. But you didn't stick your jaw out and ask for bullets in your mouth. You know, it's not some kind of fucking bukkake gangbang where you're just waiting on the next line of hairy dudes. It's real life, son. We don't want to die. So I'm utilising my adrenaline mode. I think it's called Instinct. I'm not too sure of the name of it. All we know is it gives us slow motion, and it doesn't make a lot of sense because it seems completely out of nature with these games. But I do think it's cool that Sledgehammer have utilised these abilities with the suit. I think they could have gone a little bit more. Because if you're going to rip Elysium off, at least go full hog and give us that awesome shield that Kruger uses to stop those point-blank gunshots. Because that shit looks amazing. All we get on this is some retarded, collapsible, fold-out riot shield. I want that awesome plasma shield thing that he has. And then if we're going to rip him off that much, let's have a sword. We all love swords. Everybody likes swords. But moving into the hospital here, I'm conflicted whether or not I'm going to share a clip that I got on this moment. I was in such a lethal killing mode when I was playing and recording this. You know, I was on point in some parts, not all parts. You know, I miss my shots, I do sloppy things, but every so often I get that mode where I'm on, and I was so on that I shot the fucking doctor in that breach moment. It was so good. I literally put one bullet in each 3 men, in all of them, as quick as it can be done, like full on speedy, awesome, efficient kill mode. But it was too much. I was too lethal at that point because I ended up putting down the friendly. I felt like RoboCop. It was great, but it ended up failing. And chances are you'll probably not see that one because I don't really think it's a big enough fail. It's just sometimes you go into crazy mode and kill dudes. But the gun I'm using here is called an ARX. An ARX, sorry. I don't know why I said that other one. This is ripped directly from Ghosts, and they've not even changed anything. The only thing they've done is they've given it triple fire instead of fully automatic. And on this game, for some reason, you can't swap your fire modes, which just further proves why this 3-year not learning by other studios' mistakes and improvements is a flawed model for game design. And I said this to a subscriber earlier yesterday. They were asking me, do they think Sledgehammer Games did a good job with this game? Because he already knew what I think about Infinity Ward, he already knew what I thought about Treyarch. I think Sledgehammer never stood a chance, man. They came into this genre, they came into Call of Duty when everybody was tired of it. And I mean real tired. Here we go. Bup, bup. There you go. And on the other clip, I put one in him too, because I was really hungry to kill. But they were handed the mantle of Call of Duty at the point when there was a large, you know, disparity between people who still loved the franchise and people who were getting tired of it. And All franchises go this way, guys. It's the reason why Gears of War stopped. And then for some reason Microsoft did Judgment, which nobody wanted, nobody asked for, and as decent as that game was, I think it would have stood as a better legacy if it didn't exist. Because the new Gears that they're making now would have had a massive effect, because it would have been a very long time between games. And sometimes being a fan can affect your judgment on franchises. For instance, Assassin's Creed. I thought Assassin's Creed 1 was a great idea. I think it was more of a concept than anything else, because the gameplay was very, you know, it got boring. It was repetitive, and it did one thing really well, and you spent too much time doing all the things it didn't do so well. Then Assassin's Creed 2 came out, which I think is one of the all-time best games ever made, because it put everything together in a package that was just so awesome, so cool, and it made it work, and I loved it. It was one of the best of that generation. And that was it. I could have been done then, because it had done everything I wanted it to do, but Ubisoft were riding this high of money and bullshit. So what do? They've got this engine they've built, they've got these assets they've built, they pumped out 2 games in the next 2 years, and they pissed away all the goodwill and all the love I had for that franchise. And then they released Assassin's Creed 3, which did it even worse for me. And we're at a point now where there's 2 Assassin's Creed games coming out this year, because they're fucking nuts. They've gone off the rails. They like money too much. They're too busy swimming in the vault to realise that people would like, I don't know, a different game, Ubisoft. I'll continue this in the next video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and you take care now.